So the other day, I made a recipe from one of my favorite YouTubers. Her name is Heather. Her channel is the Kneady Homesteader. I've left her channel link in the description to this video. If you haven't heard of her or checked her out, go check her channel out. Give her a thumbs up. Subscribe to her channel. I've also left the link to the original, to the video that I watched of this next recipe that I'm going to make. So this is like a dinner roll kind of bread. It's a very sticky, delicious bread. I made it, and within, I'm going to say 24 hours, all of the rolls were gone that I had made. Mike and Michelle just absolutely loved them, so I was requested to make another batch today. So I thought, why not record it? They are simply delicious. They are the best that I've ever tried. And I so thank you for sharing your recipe, Heather. So I'm going to go ahead and get all my ingredients ready. When I'm ready to start the mixing, we'll be back. So I have all my ingredients all set up, and I'm ready to go ahead and start the mixing of this delicious bread. I find it easier when I make bread. I don't know if you're the same way, but I find it easier to have all my ingredients set up so that, I don't know, it just gives me that little push, I guess, to kind of do it, right? So Heather over at the Kneady Homesteader, this is her recipe, and she says in this order to add the ingredients. So we're going to go ahead and add 1.5 cup warm water. To that, we're going to add 2 teaspoons of instant yeast and 3 tablespoons of sugar. Maybe I should put this up here. Okay. And then to that, we're going to add 3 cups of bread flour. I don't have bread flour, so I am using all-purpose. If that's what you have, you can go ahead and use it. Just be careful not to splash it here. To that, I'm going to add a 1/4 cup of dry milk powder and a 1/4 cup of potato flakes. Now, I didn't have potato flakes. All I had was, I bought this from Costco. It's more of like a flour than it is a flake, but I've made this recipe once before and it turned out amazing, so now I have a use for this and the powdered milk. I bought a big bag for whatever reason, but now at least I have a use for it. So we've added the dry milk and the potato flakes, 1/4 cup of each. To that, I'm going to add 4 tablespoons of softened butter. Okay. And then to that, I'm going to add 1.25 teaspoon of salt. So I'll just do like a heaping teaspoon, maybe a little bit extra. And then to that, we're going to use one of our chicken's eggs. Okay. Lock that in place. And then we're just going to give this a mix on low. I want to make sure that this makes a good dough ball. It is quite chilly. Well, actually no, it is a warm kitchen today, but at the same time it's a little bit chilly in the air, I guess. So I just want to make sure that this forms a dough ball. Once it forms a dough ball, then I'm going to add, or I'm going to knead it for 5 to 7 minutes. So the last time I made this recipe, I actually had to add about another cup of flour, but it doesn't look like I'm going to need to do that this time, so we'll see. Patience, Angie, patience. See, I don't know how well you guys can see it, but I think that I need to add a little bit more flour because that seems to be a little bit sticky. So I have some extra flour on standby, and it's about a cup's worth, so I'm only going to add a little bit at a time. See if I can bring this a little bit closer so you guys can see. So this looks like it's going to give us a good dough. And just so you guys, actually, I might need to add a little bit more. It does seem a little bit sticky, so I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit more flour to it. Lock it into place. It is supposed to be a stickier dough, and I'm hoping that with this it'll turn out pretty good. Now this is kneaded for about 5 minutes. It's a nice sticky dough. Let's get rid of this. Put it in the sink. It's a nice sticky dough. So I'm just going to take it. Still might be a little tacky, but that's okay. Alright. It's not really sticking to my hands unless I delve in there. But all I'm going to do is shape this into a ball. So that's about the texture that you wanted. I don't know how well you can see it there, but that's about the texture you want it. Okay. So then now all I'm going to do is add about a tablespoon and a bit of olive oil. Just like she did, I'm just going to spin the ball, flip it upside down, and spin it again. So I've got a damp tea towel, or I've wet the tea towel and wrung it out, and I'm just going to cover it for an hour to let it rise. And just to give you guys a visual, this is my cook stove. It is nice and hot. The stove top is over 400 degrees. This is the warming oven, so this top can get quite warm, so all I've done is put a towel underneath the bowl so that it doesn't get like the direct heat from the metal. So but that's how I usually let my bread rise. So it has been about an hour that I've let this dough rise, so we're just going to go ahead, take the cloth off, and then it has doubled in size. I did have to switch my mixing bowl for this bowl because I couldn't get my mixing bowl off of my KitchenAid, so I will have to wait for Mike to get home. But yeah, so anyways, nonetheless, here's our dough. We're going to go ahead and punch it down. Look, it's nice and airy. Oh, let's see if we can get you zoomed in a little bit better. So it's nice and airy. So all I'm going to do from here is take it out of the bowl. We'll set the bowl aside. And then I want to kind of flatten this out. We're just going to keep flattening down a little bit. And basically, I just want a rectangle, because then we're going to cut it a few different times. So it's pretty even. And then all I'll do from here is cut it in about half. Even though this side's a little bit bigger, but that's okay. We don't have to be perfect here. And this side's a little bit bigger too. But hey, that's okay. Maybe I'll make some more hamburger buns. These do have to rise again, so they will be bigger. I think what I'd like to try to do actually is see if I can make this into a loaf of bread. I don't see why I couldn't, but maybe the next time I try it, I'll do that. So we have everything all cut out. I have a baking sheet ready and lined with parchment paper. And let me just see if I can move my eggs here. All we're gonna do is just take one of these pieces of dough and tuck in the corners. And then tuck in the corners again. Until it's about like this. And then what she did was shaped it into a ball. And then let's see if I can go up here. And then she just, oh, I'm out of focus. And I just got to move some of this dough. And then she just rolled it in her arms or her hand. And then she just rolled it in her hands to make it more of a ball shape. So this is what you're looking for. We've tucked in all our ends on the bottom. We can pinch them again if we want. Basically, you just want the pretty side on top. And then that's all we're going to do. Pinch or tuck in the corners. Keep tucking until you get like a ball shape. And then we'll just pinch our ends together. I think I forgot to do that for the first one until after, but okay, so you pretty much have like a ball shape, and then I'm just going to roll it. And the last time I made these, I did have ones that were this size that's on the tray. This one's a little bit bigger, but I also did fairly large ones to make hamburger buns, and they all finished cooking at the same time. So pinch in the corners one more time, or tuck in the corners, and then pinch in all the ends, round ball. And there you go. I went ahead and I am going to try to see what this bread is like as a loaf. It turned out wonderful, the buns themselves. So I want to see what this bread is like as a loaf. Dab a little bit of oil. If you have like a, can of aerosol spray, you can go ahead and use that for this here too. And I re-moistened my towel, and all I'm going to do is just recover our dough. And we'll have to cover that up because this is an old tea towel and there's a hole in that one. So now that I have the dough balls all covered up with the tea towel, I'll just go ahead, put it back on the stove where I had it in the first place, and we got to let these rise for another hour. I've had a really hot fire cooking in my wood stove. I let it burn hot for quite a while. It's heated up my oven. So right now my oven says that it's at like 320 degrees. What I do is at about that temperature, I put my buns in the oven, and at about 10 minutes I'm going to flip them and rotate them. So just take the tray out and rotate it. But basically in a regular oven, you're just going to pop them in and take a look at them at about 20-25 minutes in. If they're golden brown and you can knock on them and they sound hollow, then they're done. But without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and put these in the oven. So this is how I like to have my fire when I cook with the oven. Nice, really, really, really hot. Lots of hot coals. And if it starts to die down, then I add smaller pieces of wood to keep it at temp. So it's been about 10 minutes. I can already start to smell the bread. But this is why I rotate, because this side, I don't know how well you're going to be able to see, but this side is starting to go golden brown, whereas this side is already a little bit browner than I like it. So I'll just go ahead and rotate. And because they're already really, really, really brown on one side, I'm going to check it again in 5 minutes. And if they've got to the brownness or crispiness that I like, then what I'll do is I will just put some foil over top so that they still continue to cook, but it doesn't brown anymore. So I went ahead and checked the buns after only 5 more minutes. In my oven, they were done in 15, and the temperature of the oven said it was 310 degrees. So all I'm going to do now, this choice is definitely optional, but I did try it because I watched the Heather from the Kneady Homesteader. I watched her do it and I tried it, never done that before, and it turned out awesome. So all I'm going to do is just coat with butter. Again, this is completely optional. Just give it a little bit of a dressing. It helps to soften the crust. You can also throw a tea towel over, just a regular tea towel. You don't need to dampen it or anything. And that helps to soften the crust as well. But I tried this last time. It was delicious, so why not? And my little experiment with the bread turned out awesome. So all of the buns were done at the same time, which is kind of cool. So if you can hear, it's kind of hollow. That's what you're looking for. So this little piece of bread here will be Mike's toast for dipping his eggs in. I'll take a little one. I'll let it start cooling so that I can show you guys the inside. I'm going to take this little one here and bring it in nice and close. How yummy is that? There we go. It's still hot too. I'm going to eat it, but another test she did was she squished them. Oh, they are so yummy. Let's see. Alright guys, so that's all there is today. I highly recommend you try these buns. They are so good. If you try them, please let me know either in the comments below or private message me. And I think Mike might be home because the dogs are really going nuts now. But message me and let me know that you tried these. And if you change the recipe up at all, like I use the potato powder kind of stuff instead of the potato flakes, if you change it, let me know. Super good. Love it. Leave your comments down below, guys. Thanks again for watching, and until next time, take care.